I'm going to ask you one question today, and that is, how does program selection determine our missed market with teens?
Sure. I think the important question to ask is who's not coming to the library and why? Or who's coming to the library and not utilizing our resources? Or how can we better engage the space to have our teens be more involved with what we have available here in the Teen Center or in any part of the library? So there was one group of teens where I have had to ask them to leave the library on a number of occasions just due to noise, unruly behavior. They had a tough day at school, a lot of structured activities they needed to let loose. Well, that's how Create Thursday happened. We started putting sewing machines in the room, t-shirt screen printers, button makers, Arduino kits, computers. And by filling up every single space in the Teen Center so there was no place for them to go other than a place to do something, they eventually started participating. It took a couple times, but once they were engaged with an activity, they started coming to the library seeking these resources and activities rather than coming to the library to just hang out and socialize, which we encourage, but it would be great to have it around something. And so Create Thursday has been successful, it's growing, and I hope that we keep reaching out to that missed market.
Talk about two different examples. Knit Happens is a program that I've led before, and cheerleaders. Both of those evolved out of that situation of missed market. Cheerleaders are just people that we were not seeing cheerleaders in the library at Perry, and it's on a high school campus. So we were trying to come up with a program where we could figure out how to get those athletes into the building and work with younger kids and do some reading. And so we set up with coaches a relationship, and it started with the cheerleaders, but it evolved into basketball players and football players and tickets to games with incentives. So it was really cool. But it was all because of that missed market of who was not visiting the library. Knit Happens is super interesting because that evolved out of a group of kids that was literally coming into the library after school, and they were peeking over a wall, and they were noticing this older community called Common Threads who was doing needlework and crochet, and they were noticing these people and kind of making fun of them behind the wall. And I kind of walked up behind them one day and I said, hey, if I learn how to crochet, would you come to a group? And they all were kind of a little shell-shocked at that point, but they didn't know what to say. And then they were like, well, yeah, we would. And they did. That group started with about 5 or 6 kids and then evolved into over 20 kids. And it evolved into a service project, which was really cool because they were kids that didn't have any experience knitting or crocheting in a lot of cases, but they learned, and they learned to do simple projects. And we ended up sending over like 900 squares at a time to a project in Africa where blankets were knitted for people in need. And all of that came out of just a couple of kids peeking over a wall, and they were my missed market. They were kids that were just hanging out in the library and sometimes causing, issues in the library because they had nothing to do they were engaged in.